Hello, Mr. Hoyt.
Had to unmute. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I am fabulous, thank you.
Wonderful to have you. I thank you so much for being one of our speakers. I'll cue you when it is your turn, but I think you're number 3 in the lineup here.
Not a problem. I should be in a stable, non-moving environment by then, so.
Sounds great. Talk to you in a bit.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits of Zoom that we can get people different times. All right, 4 minutes till we start. I think we have about 60 people signed up, so it should be a fairly good group.
I thought you might try to do this live and in person.
Oh, I wish, but our reopening committee isn't quite ready for that just yet, and I already get in enough trouble. But soon, I'm so looking forward to actually being able to be a director of engagement that's allowed to engage with people in person. It's been a weird year.
Yes, it has. And Tiffany, just so you know, when I get home, which I'll be in a couple minutes, I'm going to change devices, so I will leave and reappear.
Okay, so I will not panic and it will all work out. Perfect.
Right, just giving you a heads up.
Thank you, Mark. Well, and I know we have Dean Galini with us, Reverend Wood, a bunch of different faculty members, the guest of honor here, Warren Binford.
Hi, everyone.
So exciting.
Yes, so many great faces. Like all my favorite people in one place. I can't believe it.
Oh, and this is one of the biggest crowds we've had at one of our Zoom events. So
wow,
should be fun.
Excellent.
And just for those who've recently joined us, we will officially kick things off at about 5:33. It usually takes a minute or two for everybody to get online, get situated. We will start with remarks. I'll do a quick intro. Dean Galini will speak. Warren Binford will then have a chance to share thoughts with us. We have some invited remarks from a few alums. And then everyone will hopefully get a chance to kind of share their thoughts and best wishes and wonderful things about Warren. And then she'll turn bright red. And by the end of this, it'll be a lot. I know. There'll be tears, grab tissues, be prepared. And it should be a lovely evening before we sign everything off.
Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Of course, I'm just so excited we were able to get it all together.
I know. It's trying to avoid something like this. Brian had asked Carrie there she is, Carrie Davidson, to organize something. And I was like, I don't really want to do a celebration. But then you asked, and one of the things that they train us on is that you always do what the alumni office tells you to do. And that's been my mantra. So when you asked, you've done so many great things for all of us and our alumni and everything that I couldn't say no. So hopefully it won't be too painful.
I think it'll be lovely. And thank you for revealing the power that I didn't know I had.
Oh yeah, most powerful woman on campus.
I know. Dean Galini, I think he's on here as well. And we should be good to go. So with that, if folks are comfortable, I'm going to change the view here so it's speaker. Does everyone, since there's so many different screens, just a quick tech check, you can go up to the upper right corner and click view and make sure that you're on speaker view. That might help so that it'll choose whoever is currently speaking visually. That could help. You can also do gallery if you want to see all the different faces and, you know, all the folks, but we're happy to do that as well. I'm letting 2 more people in the waiting room, and then I will kick off with my intro remarks so I haven't missed anybody. So with that, I will say hello. My name's Tiffany Newton. I'm the Director of Graduate Alumni Engagement for the College of Law. Today's evening event is to celebrate Warren Binford and all of the wonderful contributions and meaningful work she has done here as a professor and as the director of our clinical law program. Our plan for this evening is to hear, like I said, some initial remarks from Dean Brian Galini. Warren will then have a chance to share some of her thoughts before we open it up to some invited speakers and then share the floor with the rest of you. If you have any questions or issues, please know you're welcome to send me a chat. We are recording the first portion of this for memories so that we can put that in the archive. And if you have any issues, again, please do let me know. And hopefully we'll all have a wonderful evening, and then we will kind of wrap it up. If you, again, have any questions, please feel free to direct them my way. And with that, I will hand things over to Dean Brian Galini of Willamette's College of Law.
Well, thank you, Tiffany, and thank you for that kind welcome and introduction. I'm just thrilled to be with all of you tonight and have just a few minutes to both welcome you and share a few remarks about our friend and colleague, Professor Warren Binford. It strikes me that all of us are gathered together this evening because we're connected through our mutual appreciation and admiration for you, Warren, and for your tireless work and dedication to the college, the university, and really legal education more generally. And what I would say to the audience is whether you had the pleasure of being one of her colleagues, a student or mentee in the clinic, work on to work on a case, or were able to develop a close connection with her throughout her shared work on child welfare and immigration issues, it's just overwhelmingly clear that Professor Binford has made an immeasurable and lasting impact on the practice of law, our institution, how we train students to be ready to work with and on behalf of clients, especially those who are vulnerable and disenfranchised by our current legal system. And I guess I probably don't need to remind you, but I'm going to, that Warren Binford is a internationally recognized children's rights scholar and advocate who's been our professor of law and the director of the clinical law program here at Willamette for the past 16 years. And when she arrived to us at the outset, she renovated the entire clinical law program, founded Willamette's Child and Family Advocacy Clinic, and also founded and taught in the Business Law Clinic. But in addition to her work on campus, she was selected as both a Fulbright Scholar and Willamette's first Distinguished Fulbright Chair, and was able in that capacity to provide expertise and support to international NGOs ranging from Save the Children to the International Red Cross and the International Criminal Court, just among many examples. She's a graduate, as you may know, of Harvard's Law School and Boston University. She's a prolific writer, public speaker on topics primarily related to children's rights issues throughout our country and around the world. And so perhaps not surprisingly, after this long list of well-deserved and hard-earned accolades and accomplishments, I would hasten to add that she's been a wonderful supporter and friend to me in my first year as dean, and I will miss her and our conversations and her many contributions to our institution. And more broadly, as I close, I know that she's been a beloved professor and mentor to a generation of our students and alums here at Willamette. And I know that we'll just dearly miss you, Warren. And for those who've had the pleasure of learning from and working with her, I'm so thrilled that you're with us to celebrate her many contributions this evening. So with that, allow me to pass the remote baton over to you, Professor Warren Binford.
Thanks so much, Brian. I don't know how many of you know this, but when Brian was a candidate for the deanship, I was at that time being recruited by the University of Colorado. This has been in the works for 2.5 years now. And Brian was my first choice for the deanship. And when he was offered the deanship and accepted the deanship, it made a difficult choice even more difficult. And I asked to spend some time with Brian to help me make an informed decision. And we must have spent 5 or 6 hours together just one-on-one, talking through his vision for the law school and his support of the clinical law program and its future. And everything he said was right on. And at the end of those 5 to 6 hours, I was so convinced that Willamette is about to enter into a new stage in its life cycle, and that it's going to be a really powerful and transformative stage, and that he is bringing so much to the law school. But I decided to leave anyway. And some of you may wonder why. And I can give you just a few reasons. Let's see, there's murder and kidnapping, sexual abuse, embezzlement, a lot of divorce, a lot of racism, a lot of assaults and rape, a multi-year border crisis, child trafficking, discrimination, hate crimes. And that was before I decided to leave. And then after I decided to leave, there were, apocalyptic wildfires and catastrophic ice storms and a global pandemic. And I'm thinking, does anyone really wonder why I need a break? It has been, an incredible 16 years, and we have seen so much, and we've been through so much. And it's going to take years of therapy for all of us to process the PTSD that 16 years in our clinical law program and being out there on the front lines, trying to teach justice, live justice, support our students in advancing justice. And if University Council is here, I want you to make sure you keep an eye out for a few workers' comp claims that are coming your way after 16 years of this. But the truth is that we have done so much good in the world these last 16 years. And I'm really, really proud of what we've been able to accomplish together, and how resilient we've been, and how strong and resourceful we've been as we've tried to hold each other up, hold our clients up. We have protected children and stabilized families, and we have helped place children in forever homes. We fought off abusers. I remember, some of you, David and Margaret, and some of our students, we were there, when the first abuser came in and dropped broken glass in our reception area and urine-soaked sheets and just all sorts of things. And the abusers kept coming, and the threats kept coming, and the university provided us with, new offices behind triple locked doors, and gave us, hand alarms that we can carry, because sometimes those abusers were let out of jail, and they warned us that they blamed us for what happened to them. And despite that, we continued to fight off the abusers. And at the same time, we took on racism, and we helped protect children and our classmates from deportation when they started to be targeted. We started dozens and dozens of nonprofits, and we helped members of underrepresented groups to start their own businesses, and we protected their intellectual property so that they could achieve financial independence and well-being and pursue their dreams. We helped to unite parents and children, and we were able to get kids out of foster care. And sometimes we weren't. Sometimes the system was that untamed monster, and they wouldn't give the kids back. And we fought and fought and fought to the end. We never gave up. And even when we couldn't get the kids out, we tried to make sure that their loving families and their grandparents at least got access to the children, so they knew who they were and that they were loved. And we realized that it wasn't enough to fight, that we actually have to change the system, that we've got to change the law. And we did that with both precedent and legislative advocacy. We helped rewrite the entire nonprofit law in Oregon, Chapter 65 in the Oregon Revised Statutes. We helped to create child care centers in the courthouses. We created civil remedies for victims of online sexual abuse in Oregon. We went to the Court of Appeals and reversed judges when the trial judges made legal errors. We advised the federal government in the United States and foreign governments abroad and organizations from Kenya to the UK to the Netherlands to Mexico and Canada and beyond. We dined with ambassadors and went to the US Supreme Court, not just as tourists, but more than what we accomplished together professionally were the lives that we shared with one another. We had dinners and we had picnics and lunches and coffee. You graduated from law school and you passed the bar. We got tenure and promotions, and we all learned how to create love and friendship in the midst of all of this professional work that we were trying to do to transform the world. We had babies, and we worked to advance our careers and use our knowledge to create that better world. And yes, some of the lowest moments were where we had to bury clients. This is where I start to cry, sorry. but we had to bury clients and we buried colleagues. And people left jobs and we suffered through bad bosses, but the balance of our last 16 years had far more goodness and light and love than the negativity and the loss and sometimes the evil that we witnessed, both in our own lives and in the lives that we were trying to protect and better. But there's no other group and all of you that I would prefer to share these last 16 years with. Simeon, I will never forget that moment when you offered me that cup of coffee in the Wardman Park Hotel, and Yvonne was sitting there falling asleep, dying for her afternoon espresso and not having access to it. And I thought she hated me so much that I would never get the job. And you were charming from that moment to the very end. You stood toe to toe with me and said no many, many times. And when you were wrong, you admitted it. And you let us do it my way. And you taught me a lot. You taught me the importance of being bold and responsible and innovative. You told me that first week when I stormed into your office and said, what do I do? And I brought you all these files. And I said, you never told me that the externship program needed to be renovated too, and that it was my responsibility. You said, oh, you'll be fine. And I said, well, what do you want me to do about this? And what do you want me to do about that? And you said, Warren, this is why I hired you, because I didn't want to worry about these things. This is your job. Now go do it. And you set me off to do that job. And the reason why I was able to do that job is because of my friends and mentors, Jim and Valerie and Steve Green and Gil and Yvonne and Danny and Jade and Karen Wood. You helped to guide me. You helped me with my scholarship. You nominated me for different academic societies and opportunities. You put in a good word for me. You gave me wise counsel. And I'm so, so grateful for all of your support and mentorship. And Paul and David and KCP, Jeff and Carrie. Do you remember how Simeon used to call us the Young Turks? I always worried that that wasn't a compliment. But the fact is that we cut our teeth together. And together we were, with our senior faculty, we were able to educate almost 2,000 new lawyers during our time together. And those lawyers are having such an impact on the world. And I'm so, so grateful for your friendship and your candor, the times you confided in me, the times that you calmed me or let me cry on your shoulder or sat with me on the phone for an hour and process. And David, I will tell you that you once told me that there is no divorcing your office husband ever. And so I'm going to hold you to that, okay? I might still call you late at night when I'm driving home at 2 o'clock in the morning and I need someone to keep me awake on the highway home. And to the clinical team, Margaret and Raina and Don and Mark, you are amazing. You have done so, so much to lift up our clients and our students. And
Okay.
I'm so grateful to all of you for keeping the trains running on time and our students learning and focused and helping us to connect with the community. And to my CLA colleagues, Greg and Josh and Anna, Catherine, Ewan, Anita, thank you for being my writing partners, for sitting with me for hours and days on end, side by side, living parallel lives while you try and get your articles out. Thank you for opening up your classrooms to me and sharing your students with me. Thank you to our administrative staff, Bev and Betsy, Chris, Will, Marty, Leah, Jessica and Beth. Thank you for everything that you do to support our students and to support the rest of us. You are so dependable and we're so grateful for the wonderful students that you bring us and the way that you guide them through their time with us. And our colleagues in the community, Steve and Audrey and Marina and Helen, thank you so much for your friendship and helping to connect us with the local bench and bar and all the resources that are out there. And then finally, to our students, Cody and Shawana and Jack and Jordan, Alice and Megan, Samrak, Lindsay, Carlotta, Zachary, Trevor, Kaylee, Lindsay, Hannah, Jana, Megan, William, Sam, Clausen, Rebecca, Jackie, Julie, Josh, Patsy, Shelby, Patricia, Sydney, Bridget, You have been the highlight of all of the incredible work that we've done these last 16 years, that you made me excited to go to work every single day. There wasn't a day that I dreaded coming in and spending that day with you. It was such an honor and a privilege to watch you emerge as young attorneys, new attorneys, to watch you from the front row as your dreams came true of becoming a lawyer, and to be able to cheer you on and sometimes coach you along. So thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me into your lives and into your journey into becoming lawyers. I am so honored to have spent this time with you, all of you. Thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. And now, yes, round of applause and fine tissue. So we will kick off the warm remarks with, of course, the person who hired Warren Binford, with Dean Emeritus and Professor Simeon Simonides. And that will unmute him here, hopefully.
Yes. Well, Warren, Wendy, Binford, we are lucky to have had you for so long. Somehow I knew that we couldn't keep you forever. And lo and behold, what you have been offered is just too good an offer to pass. So as much as we will miss you here, at least I understand that you're making the right decision for your own career. And I always care more for the individual than the collective as a person. Anyway, but I do remember that interview in Washington, D.C. I do remember your resume. What attracted me at first was that you were a summa cum laude, and I'm partial to summas because the other summa I knew is Valerie Volmart, who I think is listening in, and I'm very impressed with Valerie. And I said, well, you cannot go wrong with a summa. So we did interview you, and you exceeded my expectations. You were a dynamite. And the other thing that impressed me about your resume back then is that you were hired by the president of Boston University, John Silver, who was a very tough, conservative, or worse, SOB, and yet he hired you because he saw what I saw, the talent and the dynamism and all of that. And sure enough, and that was before she went to Harvard, so it was in between. So we had high expectations for our programs because our past has not been great. Some of the old timers here will remember that our clinical program before Warren had a lot of ups and downs, but frankly, it was more downs than ups. And so it was time to think differently and aim high. And it's with those expectations that we went to Washington, D.C. to interview candidates. And it was a great pool of people, and Warren was the best. And and here, Dean Galini described some of what she did. And really, she has been wonderful for the program. But more importantly, with Warren at the helm of the program, we were able to, for example, go out and talk to potential donors about endowing the program, which was, almost unheard of. And eventually, with the help of many people, especially Warren, but also, and I must mention David Carnegie at this point, we were able to attract a major gift that endowed the whole clinical program, and we became the first clinical program in the country to be endowed, which some of our students or graduates now may not appreciate as much, but it guarantees the existence of the program in tough times, especially like the ones we're going through now with the budget cuts and the pandemic and all of that. So we owe a lot of that to Warren, because her presence and her leadership is what enabled us to be able to go out and speak with some credibility to potential donors and attract that gift. And in addition, we also helped that, we leveraged that to to raise another $5 million to renovate the Carnegie building. Clinic was supposed to be the anchor. There would be other think tanks and so on, some of which materialized, some of which didn't. But the clinic was the one of the main attractions there. So all of that again is thanks to Warren. But you all know Warren, what an outstanding individual she is. She has been a terrific university citizen and also citizen of Salem. I mean, from her editorials in the Statesman Journal to the work on her community, her whole family is very involved. Her first daughter is now a top-notch journalist already, and so on. So we have been blessed to have that family in Salem. We have been blessed to have Warren as a colleague. How many of you, if you had sickness in your family or something worse, you know that the first person to show up in your doorstep would be Warren with food and other support. So at some point I called her the mother of the faculty, and this is not a sexist term by any means, but she was always so supportive of everybody who needed that, whether it be a junior colleague who has had difficulties or a student or a senior colleague. So for all of this, Warren, thank you for being you. Thank you for coming here and for staying with us for so long. And we wish you the best of luck where you are going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saman.
Oh, thank you so much for those remarks. And now I'll hand it over to Mark Hoyt.
Well, I didn't have the academic exposure to Warren that Simeon and Brian have had, but in many respects, I think I had what is the most human exposure to her and had the best opportunity to watch the incredible impact she's had on so many students' lives. Watching her teach, watching her level of engagement, the intellect is obvious, the passion even more so, the commitment to her students even greater. And to watch those three things kind of combine and materialize in what she puts into teaching is truly impressive. She is someone who has shaped character. She has someone who has ignited passions in students. She has someone who has allowed students the opportunities to go forward into the world as law students and affect change and make law. And those things are impressive and they are unusual. And it has been my pleasure to feel small and outgunned and outmatched in teaching with her and truly enjoy the experience of watching someone who is so good at her craft apply it. And I see some of the students that we shared on there, and I'm going to ask them when they do speak not to compare us, because the comparison would not be favorable. And I know that, and that's a good thing. And we all need people that make us strive to be better, and Warren is one of those people. And so it is my pleasure and honor to be able to be here and say just a few kind words about how she conducts herself, how she conducts her clinic. She has left a very large footprint. How that footprint will be filled is yet to be seen. But leave no doubt, Warren, you are leaving very, very, very large shoes to fill. And we've all very much appreciate all you have done. But most importantly, you've made our bar better and you've made lawyering better because you have played such a large part in turning out so many lawyers that will make a difference over time. And so for that, and for all you did for Willamette, but really more importantly, all you did for the world, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Oh, thank you, Mark. And then we will hand it over to one of our most recent alums, Megan Graff.
Thank you. When I began my law school career, Professor Binford had been the clinical director for over a decade. And I remember looking down at my introduction packet and seeing Professor Binford, faculty mentor. At that time, I wasn't really sure what that would entail. And after all, I'd just seen Professor Binford on CNN and thought, wow, what a superhero. It's no secret that Professor Binford wears many hats. She's a daughter, a wife, a mother. She's a lawyer, an advocate, and an activist. She's a professor, a writer, and a child's rights scholar. Moreover, Professor Binford is an outstanding mentor. I was taught to proofread things, not just twice, but 4, 5, 6 times. I was taught compassion for clients, but also taught how to keep a backbone. I was taught drive, and that some things are worth fighting for. They say, be the change you wish to see in the world, and you are truly that and so much more. Congratulations on your new position. You will be missed. And I want to thank you for all you've done, all you do, and all the positive change you'll continue to make in this world. Thank you, Binford.
Thank you, Megan.
Oh, that's wonderful. And our next speaker is Lindsay Freeman. Lindsay, you're muted.
Hi.
There we go.
Hello, my name is Lindsay, and I had the pleasure of being one of Professor Binford's Family Law Clinic students for my 3L year. I've also had the pleasure of remaining connected with her and witnessing not only her incredible strength, humor, and grace, but the gigantic mountain of advocacy work that she has continued to do for so many, and especially for children. I remember the first time that I met Professor Binford, 1L year in a large assembly about future opportunities or something. In walks this energetic and very pregnant professor to tell us about the law clinic. And I immediately thought this was someone that I needed to learn from while I was in law school. My clinic work was hands down one of the most important experiences of my law school life. Through Professor Binford's relevant and poignant teaching and the hands-on learning provided from actually working with clients, the hundreds of hours of casebook highlighting and lectures were distilled into a vision, the actual change that an advocate can make. And beyond that, this lesson: what is the most important privilege of being an attorney? It's finding the place where your passion meets the needs of others and having the tools to follow that drive and to help. Through her guidance, alongside my clinic partner, Jack, I worked on a legally and emotionally complicated case, learning so much about tirelessly advocating for women, for immigrants, and for domestic violence victims, and about how to bury a client. Watching her parent her 2 excellent daughters, I learned so much about giving children the space and support to thrive and find their own place where their passions meet the needs of others. With her mentoring, I overcame my fear to speak up to opposing counsel and in court. And she also taught me this really important lesson that if you're going to say a somewhat shocking word in a courtroom, just say it 1 time. 2 times is 1 time too many. So remember that. But for all of that care and guidance that she has offered countless law students and peers, here we are today, showing Professor Binford just how much she has helped this law school community and far beyond, as she takes this next big step following her passion and dream to help more children through her impeccable and courageous work. Professor Binford, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you. And now, by special request, here is my own child who has definitely benefited from the teaching and encouragement of one of the world's fiercest advocates. Want to say hi?
Hi, honey. How are you? Hi. How are you, Livy? It's so good to see you. You're so beautiful. Yes, you are.
You say thank you.
Yes, you are perfect. You are perfect. You look like your dad. Oh my gosh, look at how much you look like your dad. Oh, you are so lucky. What a blessing.
Yeah.
What a
Thank you
blessing.
so much for everything, and best of luck. I will not be a stranger.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Oh, thank you for that. Our next speaker is Samrak Sar, if he's available. Oh, you're muted. Let's unmute.
Yep.
There we go.
Hello, can you hear me? Good evening, everybody. Well, thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I see so many other professors that also had a great impact on my law student experience at Willamette. But especially Professor Binford, because she was one of the most important teachers and professors for me in my life. I first got to know her in the business law clinic. She was the director of the clinical legal program, but she was also the supervising attorney. So I got to work with her a lot, and you know, I learned real fast that that she does not mess around, and she's one tough cookie, and a lot of her teaching is through tough love. And at least, well, for me, she had to apply tough love. But it was an amazing experience, and I still apply a lot of the you know, heuristics and rules of thumbs that I learned from my experience with Professor Binford at the legal clinic. And one other thing is that I wanted to mention about Professor Binford is her humility. You know, I didn't even realize that she went to Harvard Law until I later on in the semester when I just looked up her resume. But you know, normally when someone goes to Harvard, you know, you find out in like the first two sentences, and and then they usually repeat it a few more times throughout the conversation. But you know, just her humility, and you know, she invites law students into her home, like you know, the previous speakers mentioned, you know, and for a potluck. And you know, so I was able to go see her and experience her interactions with her family, and I brought my family, and I got to see her and her husband and her two beautiful amazing daughters, and got to see the human side of her, aside from the superwoman amazing lawyer and advocate side. So that was just you know, a privilege for me to be able to experience that and to see that about Professor Binford. And also I wanted to say that, you know, in law school, there's you know, a lot of professors, and you learn, and you know, they teach, and law students learn, but there's also professors and teachers that teach and make students become great or become better. And I think Professor Binford is exactly that. She made me strive for excellence. She made me a better law student, and you know, she helped me succeed. And for that, I thank her. And again, she was one of the most important teachers for me at Willamette Law. And so thank you, Professor Binford, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Samrak.
Oh, thank you. And our next speaker is Julie.
Hi, everyone. So good to see everyone, even if it's over Zoom. I'm really happy to be here and to have had the pleasure of having Professor Binford as a professor. Since I started Willamette, I really had wanted to be in the clinic, but they don't let one else participate. So I got in there as quick as I could. And honestly, I have to say that it was the best hands-on learning that the experience I had. And that is in so much large part due to Professor Binford and all the stuff that we didn't get to see. You know, we just come into a good program, but it was an excellent program. I was in the business law clinic, and so Professor just had a really wonderful curriculum of a wide breadth of topics and exposure to all sorts of different things that we're gonna encounter as young professionals. And just best practices and tips that I'm thinking about now. You know, like one of the things we talked about was board service and not to overextend yourself. And so it's just some really kind of practical things, as well as the big things and the passion. But that really makes sense. And no one had told me that before, you know? And so now I'm thinking about that, because I am getting hit up to be on different boards. And so you thinking about the practicalities of how does someone like Professor Binford do this, where she does, I don't know if she ever turns off the superwoman, Sam. I think she's always the superwoman. Such an incredible role model for all students, and especially for women. So just really learning how you can manage your time to really give the effort where you feel the desire, but some of the practical tips on how to get there. I feel like that's some of the most important skills that I learned from Professor Binford. Some of the part that's like not so sexy, like how to do a client file. And I know there's a lot of frustration, like, why do we have to do paper files? But learning paper files and also learning how to make them electronically available, and how to keep notes on your clients, and, you know, how to hand off a client, like writing memos to each other and to the next group of students that come in. All of that stuff is so important. And I just feel so glad that I got to be a part of it. But I think like, I was going to mention, like Professor Simonides mentioned that, or that he sort of trusted Professor Binford to run with the program and really make it what it needed to be. I feel like Professor Binford really emulates that for her students. And I feel like that's one of the most valuable pieces of the clinic experience, is that she gives students the trust and somewhat of a structured autonomy to go out and do things their way. So I think sometimes you're not sure as a student, and you think like, well, how should I do this, professor? And she's like, well, what do you think? What's the best way to handle this? And I feel like that's why it's so valuable, because we were pretty much first chair on our own cases. These were our cases, and what happened with our clients was on us. And that's not the way it necessarily is as an extern or even as a new associate. You don't usually get to be totally in charge of your whole case. And so I really, really appreciate that she gave us that level of trust to help us blossom into the new attorneys that we're becoming. And I think that that's probably the most valuable. So thank you so much, Professor. I am very honored to have been able to meet you and to be able to be one of your students. And I look so much forward to the work ahead that you get to do, and to continue to be a part of it in whatever way I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Wonderful. So just so that folks know, we're going to have Dawn McCann next, followed by Jim, and then Kaylee. So we'll keep moving it along. So Dawn. Is Dawn on, or did he fall off? Okay, well, we will see if we can figure out where Dawn is. So after him is Jim. Jim, are you able to unmute yourself and speak?
Sure, it's somewhat unexpected. I'll be very brief, and I'll really pick up where Simeon left off. He initiated his remarks by referring to the big interview in Washington. I still remember Warren's interview with us, and what I remember best was her metaphor. I don't think she made it up, but it just has really been important to me ever since, related to the effect a butterfly can have halfway around the world. I still remember that. And I guess when I've heard that metaphor otherwise, I always think of Warren, because you've had a profound effect, not just at Willamette, as we've been hearing, but around the world. Of course, we're all aware of what remarkable work you've done on the Mexican border. But I also know, and I won't go into any real detail on it, what really sophisticated work you have done dealing with children's rights within the International Law Association. And I know that organization is very grateful to you, just as we all are. Well, there have been so many really compelling comments, with all of which I agree to the extent of my experience, Warren. It's very hard to say very much more, but to the extent a butterfly has energy to flap its wings in a way that's somehow noticeable around the world, it's surprising nobody has really focused on what I've always seen in you, and that is just your sheer energy, not just at Willamette, but managing your home life, And I must say, having a very full professional career extending beyond the Willamette campus. We certainly will all miss you. I personally will. You'll always be a part of us, I hope. I hope that's your feeling as well, and that we can stay in touch. And I wish you the very, very best in Colorado. I guess butterflies flit off too, but it's more than flitting off, and it's very much to your credit. Thank you, Warren, for the 16 years that we've known each other at Willamette, and look forward to further contacts with you.
Thank you so much, Jim.
That's wonderful. So we have Kaylee next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee Campbell, and I graduated from the law school in 2019. It's so good to see familiar and friendly faces, so many professors. Professor Binford, it's so good to see you. It's been a little while. I'm so happy I could be here for this. I think, like all the other students that have spoken, I had the privilege of really learning from and being mentored by Professor Binford when I joined the Human Rights and Immigration Law Clinic my second year. And then beyond that, you know, any time that I met with Professor Binford, I felt like I was sort of learning from her just by observing her walk through life. I think, as has been, you know, attested to by Julie and Megan and Lindsay and all the students that have spoken, Professor Binford had and has a knack of inspiring and igniting a strive for excellence with her students. You know, someone can walk in sort of unsure of where their passion lies. And I think that that is a truly special gift, to be able to help someone navigate and find their passion for themselves. And that doesn't just happen in a year, but you, I think, are very unique in being able to set someone off on that path. And for me, because of Professor Binford just constantly believing in me when I didn't believe in myself and encouraging me, I was able to have an amazing law school experience that I think I never would have had it not been for sort of our meeting in the clinic. I got to work with Every Child Protected Against Trafficking for 5 months in London. Through that, I got to publish a paper on the harms that, you know, befall children who are exposed to violent pornography. I got to work with clients in Kenya. I got to work on impact litigation relating to sex trafficking in the hospitality industry. I mean, all of that happened within the last 2 years of my law school experience. And I think moving forward and becoming an attorney and having that as my foundation is something that I will forever be grateful for. So thank you so much for emboldening your students, teaching us to believe in ourselves and to walk forward confidently toward what we want to do. I think that that gets lost sometimes in academia, and it was definitely not lost in the clinic. I am sad to see you leave, because I know so many students have been touched, not only by the lessons that they learn in the clinic, but again, just by watching you. I recall one time when there were interpersonal conflict within one of our student working groups, and I was in your office silently shedding tears. And I remember that meeting that you had with me and the time that you took to sit down and sort of walk me through and help me process, you know, what was going on and how to be a good teammate and a good citizen in that moment. And so those lessons extend well beyond my time at Willamette and well beyond the time in the clinic. And I know that you will continue to inspire those around you, embolden those around you, and do great work. I'm so excited for you, and can't wait to see where this next move takes you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kaylee.
Wonderful. We have two more folks on this speaking list, and we'll start it off with Professor David Friedman and then Professor Keith Cunningham Parmenter.
Warren, I think I really just need to thank you for going primarily on the first order, for going back to me, for going to bat for me twice. You gave me my start twice, really. You found the opportunity for me to start out and work in the clinic. And you were the one that made that happen. And I think I had the longest title in the history of academia. I was a visiting assistant professor of clinical legal studies. It did not fit on a business card. It had to move. But you and I, in that 2006 to 2008 period, we just had so much fun. The stories, we could go on and on. You were a wonderfully good sport when it came to being on the receiving end of practical jokes, which is a big mark of character and patience. I tried a lot of different things. But also when I decided to transition to join the faculty full time, nobody was more supportive than you. And I appreciate that immensely. And we had a lot of good times, and you've made a real impact here. You've made an impact on all of us. And I know that at Colorado, you'll do the same thing. I hope that you'll find a way to have as much fun as we did here. And I'll just add on and co-sign a lot of the other things that people have said about you, but wish you well.
Thank you, David. I just want to interject here that one of the funniest practical jokes that anyone, probably the funniest practical joke that anyone played on me was played on me by David Friedman, not surprisingly, where he had mugs made for the clinic that had giant pictures of my face on them, so that when students came into the clinic, they thought that I was this totally self-absorbed person who had clinic mugs with a giant picture of me on it. And David and I gave those mugs back and forth for years. And I might just have one left, David. So be wary if you see a box from me, okay?
Let me correct that. You had been gone for a while. I had the mugs, and I took all the mugs out of the clinic that we had in the box, and I stocked the cabinets with like 25 mugs, so that when you came in from your first day back, you opened it up and just saw mugs with your face on them, as if we had been using them for the whole time you were gone. It was great.
It was great.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching you deal with that. That was fun.
Oh my God, you cracked me up. I love you so much.
Oh,
thank you.
I'm gonna have to find one of those mugs, but on to our next speaker, KCP.
All right, I'm gonna tell a story that I don't think many people in this room know about Warren. I was in Warren's tenure class, and for those of you who aren't in the business, tenure is a nerve-wracking experience for lowly assistant professors without tenure. You work in the weeds, and after several years, it's the closest thing you have to being on a reality TV show, because all your friends suddenly go to a room and vote on you, and you don't know what they're going to actually vote. And long story short, Warren and I made it, got tenure, and the president at the time, Lee Pelton, had a lovely dinner for us and the other folks who received promotion. And it's a nice spread at the president's house, a little stuffy, a little friendly, but basically you get to let your hair down. And at the end of the night, Lee, kind, smart guy that he is, gave each of us a book, a memoir that he had read and enjoyed, with a personal inscription to each of us, congratulating us on our promotion. And so you in tenure at the law school, you go from assistant professor to associate, and you get tenure. Well, the inscription to Warren said, "Warren, congratulations on your promotion to assistant professor with tenure," which was what she already was. And it was like literally the desserts were being passed out. There was quiet in the room. And then Warren raises her hand to Lee and says, "Lee, the inscription is wrong. I didn't get promoted to assistant. I'm already assistant. It's associate. And Lee said, "Oh, Warren, I'm sorry. Of course, associate. We'll get that fixed." But that wasn't good enough. Warren said, "No, let's get it fixed now." And here's the pen, Lee. And he literally fixed it right there in the room with everybody. And I just love that story. So I don't need to tell anybody here that Warren is a fierce advocate, a fearless advocate. And Warren, you've just been an absolute inspiration and a great friend and colleague. And you've left the place better than you found it, which is the mark for any of us, but we're really, really going to miss you.
Thank you so much, Keith. What I thought you were going to say is that I went and breastfed our daughter Frances in his office, which I also did. I had the gall to ask the university president if I could sit in his chair at his desk in his personal home office and nurse my newborn. And so, yeah, but I also did make him correct his mistake.
I love it.
He should have proofread it 6 times, right, Lindsay? Oh, thank you.
So we have about 4 people left. If you all will bear with us, we might go a few minutes over. So next it's going to be Professor Diller, followed by Rebecca Larson, Patricia Stone Road, and then Professor Tamayo. So Diller, you're next.
Thank you. Well, I'll try to keep it somewhat quick. Warren and I go back to the class of 2005 in our own respect. We were hired together by Simeon. And I was also part of that, or also met the same folks in Washington, D.C. at the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel, the infamous Wardman Park. I know that's sort of an inside joke among law professors. That's where much of legal academic hiring is done. And it's been so great to go through the entire experience with you, Warren, all along, in addition to fierce, which we've heard used to describe you many times, and is certainly accurate. The other word that comes to mind is supportive. You've been supportive to me and to all of us as colleagues, and to our spouses, to our children, and we've always really appreciated that. Law school is, any university are at least the sum of their parts, but to make it more than the sum of the parts, you need somebody like Warren, and this goes back to some of the things Simeon talked about in describing her as the mother of the faculty. I hadn't heard that before. But Warren, for many years, threw just lovely parties at her house. And those were always a highlight of the year, and brought together faculty and allowed us to kind of let our hair down. And sounds like a lot of you as students have been to her house for her clinic dinner, and it was just such a warm and lovely experience. And that's the kind of thing that created the connective tissue among us as colleagues and as a faculty that makes it a fun place to work. And we'll miss you immensely. Best of luck in Colorado.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'll miss you too.
All right, Rebecca.
Hi all, I'm also a 2019 recent graduate, and I will keep it short as well. But I just wanted to mainly say thank you so much, Professor Binford, for everything you've meant to all of us students and to me in particular. And I just wanted to say you've just been such an inspiring, supportive, and ongoing mentor throughout, just law school and also into my career. No matter how long it's been, you still answer my emails or are willing to do stuff for me. And I just have been so appreciative of all of those things. But much like so many others, I think the biggest thing that I just want to say that I've taken from you is I think you're such a person who brings perspective and empowerment and is just incredibly supportive. There have been so many moments when I was in the clinic where I didn't necessarily have perspective on what my career was going to be like, or I felt really nervous about something, and you always had the wisdom to sort of bring it back around to what we were actually doing or whatever was going on. You sort of reminded us that we were advocates and that we could do whatever we wanted to do, even if we didn't always know what that was in the moment. So that's something I've taken with me, and I really appreciate everything you've done for us and the clinic in Willamette, and it'll certainly not be the same without you. So thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now Patricia.
Yes, just congratulations, Professor Binford. And I entered law school at the age of 55, first generation college, fighting poverty my entire life. And Professor Binford was my safe space. She supported me while I navigated law school, while I drafted legal documents. She was alongside of me as I prepared for trial, as I presented in trial. And as we went to Mexico, she supported me as we interviewed families that were subject to the Remain in Mexico program. I'll never be able to repay her. She continued to support me in my job search after law school. She told me to go with my gut and to bypass jobs that didn't just feel right. And she also taught this poor kid that it's okay to negotiate a six-figure salary. I think because of her, a large part because of her, I have a dream job advocating for the civil rights of children and for children who have been abused. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I wish you all the best. I love you.
I love you too, Patricia. And I know that you said that you could never pay me back, but Human Rights Watch is still asking if you're available for any trips because you did such a great job down in Mexico on those testimony gathering trips. So know that there will be plenty of times, but I appreciate you continuing to look for and find opportunities for our clinic students to work with you in your job and the important work that you're doing. So thank you for looking out for our students and for the pro bono work that you continue to do on the side. So I'm grateful for you too.
All right, so we have a final late ad from Carolyn Davidson, and then Professor Tamayo, I promise you'll be our last speaker, but Carolyn Davidson has asked to very quickly say something before we go to Professor Tamayo and wrap it up.
Sorry, I wanted to say something very quickly, mainly because I feel as though Warren would be mad at me if I didn't. She's always the voice for women speaking up. So I thought I've got to get my moment to say thanks to Warren as well. So my one addition to all of this, the thing I find most remarkable and amazing about Warren is how not academic she is in the truest of senses. If there's a problem, Warren's going to find a way to go fix that problem. That problem might be at the border. That might be a problem with something on the faculty. That might be a problem with students. But Warren is a fixer. She does not just sit back and think about what the dynamics might be in play in a problem like the rest of us. Warren is looking for solutions and to take action, and very much is always I'm on the faculty and with students, always a voice for women to speak up for themselves. So I thank Warren for being a great role model in all of those respects. And I will miss you very much. And therefore we will just have to, bother you in Colorado. I feel like it's a good thing you're going somewhere nice. So we will miss you very much.
I will miss you too, Carrie. Thank you.
All right, Professor Tamayo. Thank you for your patience. We can't hear you, Professor Tamayo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so I've been listening to all these people say these wonderful things about Warren in her professional life. But I thought, let's not end this without giving you a little insight into what it is to be very good friends with Warren. So I don't know why, but for whatever reason, we became very good friends as soon as she arrived. this Cuban girl, curly-haired girl became very good friends with this waspy little 5-foot dynamo. Anyway, I feel like a lot of these years I've spent my time saying no to her. She'll say, hey, do you want to go hiking for 5 days and sleep on the ground and then climb a mountain and, you know, then whatever, you know, praise the rising sun? And I'll go, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Calls me up. Hey, you want to put on a bulletproof vest and a gas mask and let's go protest in Portland? Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. No. She never gets tired of asking me things that she knows I have no interest in. One day, everybody knows I'm a cat lover and I have 2 cats. She calls me up. Hey, I need a favor. Okay. I think my cat peed in my house. I said, what do you want me to do about it? I want you to come over and find where the cat peed. So I go, okay, that I can do, I think. Now understand, she's got a big 2-story, 4-bedroom, living room, dining room house. So like a fool, I go there. It's entrapment for sure. I go, okay, what's going on? Well, the cat got locked in the house. It smells in here, but we don't know where the cat peed. I go, what do you want me to do? Well, I want you to sniff around and find where the cat peed. So I said, you're kidding, right? No, I'm not kidding. Why do you think I invited you over here? So I proceed to sniff the beds, the towels, the mat. I'm on all fours in every bathroom, sniffing the bath mats. And every once in a while, it's like, oh man, the cat peed here. You got to get rid of this mattress. You got to get rid of, I don't know how long it took me, an hour. Finally, I looked at it and I said, do you know how much I must love you to be on all fours smelling cat pee? I mean, what is wrong with me? But this is a kind of things that I have done and will do for her that I don't do for anybody, let alone myself. Anyway, I hope that gives you a picture of what being Warren's friend is like. It's a constant adventure that never ends. And of which I mostly say no because she's always into something crazy. And I should have, I said yes that day. And I still can't believe I did that. Remember, I was on all fours in your bathroom.
Yes, but you know what else you did? Which is that the United Nations had asked me to go to South Sudan and do some children's rights work there in the middle of the war. And you literally went to everybody's boss in this Zoom call, the president of the university, and said, we need to pass a university regulation that prevents Warren from going to South Sudan. And what did he do? He passed that regulation. And then I was sent an email notification that you are not allowed to go to South Sudan. It's a university regulation. So like,
and you know what? I would do it again. I'm like, what business do you have in going? Can't you find like a little bit less dangerous place? There's many dangerous places that aren't as dangerous, but you want to go to Sudan. I'm not facilitating that. It's crazy. So every day is crazier than the next with her.
Okay, well, thank you for reining me in, and thank you so much, everyone. This is like going to my own funeral. This is like awesome. It's like you never think that you're going to have an opportunity to have shown back on you what you've tried to give to others. You know, we give, one of the things about parents and teachers is that we try and give all of our energy into the next generation. We're just constantly trying to pour it from our heart and our body and our soul and pass on what we know and pass on that love and that inspiration, which was given to us by, you know, our teachers and our parents and our mentors, and for all of you to take this time out of your very busy lives and to shine some of that love and that light back towards me as I move into this next chapter in my life will help carry me forward for years to come. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your gifts of reflection and love and encouragement. I am so, so grateful for these sweet 16 years that we've had together. And I hope that we will continue to travel on this journey together for years and years to come, but just in different relationships as our lives continue to change and transform and our lives continue to grow. So thank you, thank you, thank you for tonight and all of our time together.
Thank you all so much for joining us this evening, Professor Binford. I can't top any of the comments that have been made before, but you were one of my first alumni trips, so I really appreciated all of the guidance and support you've given me in my new role as well. And just know that some of us will be bugging you in Colorado or via email or phone calls. But with that, we just wish you all the best and want to thank you so much for everything you have given to Willamette Law, to our community, and the ripple effect that we'll have across our community and beyond. And with that, for those assembled, we hope you have a wonderful night. Stay healthy, stay well, stay engaged, and we look forward to seeing some of you online and in person in the months to come. Take care, everyone, and thank you again.
Thanks, everyone. Love you all.